Hello. Um, so I'm sure by now, anybody who's watching this, who's following the Nancy Guthrie saga case, uh, obviously now a kidnapping. I was beginning to have some doubts because of all the kind of mixed messaging that's coming out. I hope everybody's doing okay. That was terrifying if you saw the images and video clips from the Nest camera that the FBI was able to put together. I'm sure they have more images and video or, clips and stuff. I'm sure there's more. They're just going to release some snippets. But um, hopefully somebody can identify this person. At first, I looked at it. I said, that's a man. That's a man. Um, and it looked like he had a mustache when they kind of panned in on when we kind of panned in on his face. um, at first he looked prepared, right? He had his backpack. I mean, here's the thing. He's wearing a reflective stripes on his jacket. Why? Is he walking? Is he riding a bike? Typically, people who will ride bikes or walk, run, jog will have those types of jackets on to be seen. So I did have a thought about somebody riding out there um, to do this, but then how do they transfer? It's this still is an insane, baffling, bonkers case. It is terrifying that this person came up looking kind of prepared at first, but then realized there was a camera and tried to cover it up and then went and grabbed some, weeds or foliage out of her yard to block the camera. That was like so. And then you look at it and you go, this is just maybe some random person who was, checking doors or just, skulking through the neighborhood. Who knows? But then you see the weapon in the waistband. It's like, oh my God, this is like so terrifying. So at first, like I said, definitely a man. The stance, the posture, the movements, the mustache, what it looked like. It's so terrifying, their eyes, because of the way the camera, it's in night vision. So, but somebody reversed on down the rabbit hole news on her channel. One of her followers, subscribers, they processed it and they reversed it and they sent her the images, and it looks like a female. It looks like a female, but who knows? I mean, what program did she process it with? I don't know, because it looks completely, it just looks too slim. Like that person looks stocky, and this person that looks slimmer. Let me see if I could. Well, you could go to her channel. Oh, here's my phone. You can go to her channel and look. She has it in the community post or post section. But it's insane. This is like an insane case. So now you're wondering, as far as TMZ goes, Harvey's saying that he's checking every 5 minutes and there's no Bitcoin for $6 million that had been posted or they can find, because it is a public open source platform. So they're not showing that a ransom was paid. But now, but still, I wouldn't pay because they were not getting any kind of like, this is time, place. They weren't getting any confirmation. That's what it sounds like. They weren't getting any of that information. So, they're just going to send $6 million to God knows who. They already had one fake kidnapper ransom person. So I started thinking that, and I even posted a comment somewhere. I started thinking maybe she's suffering. Like, my mom's 86 and she lives alone and she's fine. She's really healthy and she's pretty, intact mind wise. But here's the thing. She like forgets things, like more and more. She's forgetting things and she gets confused a little bit. And so I wouldn't say there's dementia. Really, dementia does not run, or Alzheimer's does not run in my family on either side, but there's, signs. Um, and just wondering if I was started to think maybe she got up in the middle of the night and she's like having a moment. Maybe there's been signs of her slowly kind of, maybe showing signs of dementia, aging, and maybe she got up and she ripped her camera off and or pulled it off and cut her. Well, you could see that she has some kind of vascular disease or something going on, because there are images of her and her arms are pretty bruised up, and she's frequently wearing a bandage, so you could see that. And she takes blood thinners. You could see that if you touch her the wrong way, she'll bleed. Um, so I was thinking maybe she did that and she just wandered off. And then you hear those coyotes when everybody's out there. All the press and YouTubers, they're all out at the property, and you hear them in the background. Maybe she wandered off because law enforcement. I'm sorry, but they are just like fumbling this big time. And then they called off the search. It's crazy, but anyway, so I started thinking maybe, I was thinking maybe it's definitely somebody close to her, because maybe it's in health aid, because then maybe they have the medications and they can take care of her while they're holding her captive until they get the ransom. But I think it's opportunists that are seeking the ransom. Um, but I just don't know. Like, who knows now? Like, because obviously there's somebody at her door trying getting ready to go in to make entry to her house that has a weapon that is blocking the camera, thinking that they're blocking the camera. So the FBI has to have more information. I don't know why they do that. If they have more, why are they, splitting? Why are they just putting little bits out? If they have more, why put anything out at all? I, who knows what their mind? I mean, they do have more experience than any of us here running our mouths, but I don't know. Sometimes they don't use that experience or their resources, or they're just inept or lazy or whatever they're doing. But I hope they catch this person. I hope she's okay. But what insanity. And for those, I could probably just pull up, like I said, I don't want to until I get more familiar with how I can share and what I can share. Let me pull up. Let me pull up. I guess I could pull up rabbits because she showed. But anyway, oh, hang on a second. Okay, sorry. Oh, I see. I hit that by accident. Sorry, I'm just oh, now I got to go back. So it's just crazy. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying that. Oh, okay. I'm just looking at my chat. Nobody's on there, but I had it on top chat, not live chat. It's terrifying. I feel so bad for this family. It's absolutely frightening what's happening. Um, Yeah, if you go to rabbits, if you go to down the rabbit hole news, um, she has it on her post. One of her supporters um, sent the inverted, uh, reversing, like, turning it from black and white to colorization. And it does kind of look like a female, and there is no mustache there. Like in the other image, it looked like a mustache. I don't know. It's still, even with the colorization in it, it's still frightening. Let's see if we can get.
Hey guys.
All right, let's.
On the porch is hers, not him.
We saw these new digital billboards going up across the several states in the region, from California to New Mexico, all across Arizona. They're missing persons billboards. Yesterday, Savannah's message was a direct plea for the first time, talking directly to camera to all of us, saying, please, anyone, anywhere, even if you're not in the Tucson area, if you see something, say something. It is going to take a collective effort in addition to the 24/7 work that law enforcement is doing to try to identify
it's
this
so
person.
terrifying.
And so I think for everybody, the reaction that I'm even just getting online right now from people is like, finally, we have something that we.
It's just terrifying. That was just her reporting from the news. I'm just trying to find something that I can just show you quickly. Let's see, what about lawn crime?
Breaking new developments in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. You are getting a look at the person.
Here, I just want to show anybody who maybe hasn't seen. This is terrifying. That is terrifying. That's terrifying. And then let's see if they show, you could see the weapon. I mean, you can go to any of the multitude of big channels and find it in action. I just don't know until I figure out what I can share and what I can't share. I don't want to get on here and then immediately get copywritten and all that stuff that goes. I think lawn crime, they let anybody show their stuff. I see the big channel showing their stuff all the time, but it's just insane. So here, this is what I wanted to talk about. So here's the timeline. So January 31st at 5:32, Nancy travels to local family's house. So she took an Uber to her daughter's and son-in-law's house at 5:32. So whether they were having dinner at the house or going out to dinner, playing mahjong, playing games, a couple of different, so now they're saying she took the Uber to their house and then they drove to go out to eat. So who knows? At 9:48, a family member, first they said it was just Tommaso. First they said it was Annie and Tommaso. Then they said it was just Tommaso. Then they said it was family. Drops Nancy off at home and the garage door opens. So the garage door opens, and I imagine they pull into the garage so she can quickly get to her door at 9:48. At 9:50, so 2 minutes, the garage door closes. So, you could see where somebody can pull in and she can get out of the car and the steps are right there. And them saying no forced entry, maybe she forgot to lock her door. I have forgotten to lock my door, but I live in a different, secure location. So February 1st, 1:47, the doorbell camera disconnects. So that person walked up and it probably took a couple of minutes to disconnect it, right? So maybe 1:45. And then 2:12, the software detects a person on camera, no video available, no subscription. So 2:12. So does that mean that at 1:47, it took it that long to communicate to the host that it detected a person? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes you think you're disconnecting and it might not be disconnected. Removing it, like my Ring camera, you could remove it and move it, but it's still going to film. So maybe batteries got pulled out. I don't know, unless it was wired, but I don't think it was wired. 2:28, pacemaker app shows disconnect from the phone. So it wouldn't take that much distance for it to disconnect from the app. It really wouldn't. It could just be up the block. So, but they spent that much time. If they got into the house right away, between 10 to 2 and 2:10, 20 minutes. So they spent at least 20 minutes in the house, 20 to 40 minutes in the house. That's terrifying. What was in that backpack? weapon, what was in the backpack, other weapons, restraints, so it looks planned, but then it doesn't look planned. Or it looks planned, but it looks random. 228, 11:56. Family checks on Nancy. Now, there's multiple stories about that. Again, I think I talked about it yesterday. That her normal church, where she used to attend in person prior to COVID, they haven't seen her since then. So whether she was attending that church online, they don't know. They don't record they don't keep a record of who's watching. I'm sure you can find out whatever software you're using. It's logins, right? Or unless you're watching it on YouTube, right? You still can find out through the YouTube studio. You can track it down. Who knows? Anyway, so it turns out that she was supposed to be at a friend's house and they were going to watch an online church service out of New York City, at the church where Samantha goes to. Oh, Samantha. Did I say Samantha? I think I said that yesterday. Savannah goes to. So apparently they meet and they watch the church service together, and they watch the church service out of New York. They have some pretty good services. I mean, I watch it on YouTube, so it doesn't mean that they logged in. They could have watched it on YouTube. Like, they have some nice services at a DC Catholic church. So, well, anyway, so it sounds like they had plans. She didn't show up. Maybe the person was trying to get in touch with her and couldn't get in touch with her and got nervous and called Annie. Or maybe she was just calling Annie to see if she was there and to remind her they were supposed to meet. So it sounds like that they got to her house around 11:56, and then and that could be from the garage door opening. And then at 12:03, they called 911. And then at 12:15, the patrol arrives. So I don't know. It is like, at first when I saw that, I thought I could see a mustache. Harvey thought he could see a beard. I just saw a mustache. And then, did the person have light eyes or really dark eyes because of the reverse? So you see where the jacket at certain positions looked white, but it's a dark jacket. So everything is in reverse. So if the person looked like they have light eyes, they actually had dark eyes. And if they looked like they were wearing light clothing, they were actually wearing dark clothing. So who knows? Who knows? And if it was a caretaker, a health aide person, a housekeeper, a gardener, a roofer, a contractor, or whatever, if they were there, you would think that they were doing surveillance, that they would know that there were cameras up there. Who knows? And I can't get that one woman out of my mind that stopped Brian Enton. She was driving around looking for a patrol car because she had some information about random people just coming up to their doors, people's neighbors' doors, and saying, hey, we can install solar for you or install this for you or whatever. And she said that they had no equipment. They didn't have any tools, any equipment, any insignia on their vehicle, nothing. It was just a person saying, hey, and they were sus enough that they made note of it. So she was driving around looking for she might have video, driving around looking for a patrol car to let them know. And Brian said, well, there wasn't any at Nancy. Maybe there were at Annie's. But he said, you can drive to the station. And she said, oh, no, it's too far. Well, why wouldn't she call? Like, unless she couldn't get through, unless she reported it and they still hadn't reached out to her. And that happens. They get inundated, but then again, that they don't follow up. And I'm telling you, and that one retired law enforcement officer who got on and said, now over there, they're just hiring and they're all rookies. Nobody's getting trained. They're just putting them out in the field. Quick training out in the field. Well, when I say incompetency or incompetent, I'm talking about seasoned professionals who have been on the job for decades, who are behaving like not doing that. They're not being thorough, and I don't understand why they didn't, like, now we know where those flower things came from, because Brian Enton zeroed in on the blood drops and the little flower stems there, and he was talking about that. Why wouldn't law enforcement pick that up, or at least find out where it came from and look in that area to see if that person dropped anything? Now it's on film. Now they know where that came from. And why weren't they looking in the bushes to begin with? It's just like too many things. Too many things. So, but anyway, shocking. Shocking. So I stand corrected on the whole that she walked off on her own. It's just shocking, but nobody's live right now. I was out and about all day, so I only was catching snippets of everything. And during the time I didn't have access to my phone was when all this came through. When I got on my phone, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's craziness. Craziness. So anyway, so I just wanted to drop in and say, hey, yeah, it's just getting crazier and crazier. And I can't even imagine 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody busts into your house with a weapon and takes you out of your home to God knows what. And I did hear about that one story. What was her name? Hetty Braun? Hetty Braun, 88 years old. Kid. So she had money because her family owned something. Big business. I can't even remember what it was. And somebody kidnapped her and kept her in a shed or something. I don't know how many days. Let me look it up. Oh my God, that was insane. But she got rescued. I mean, she lived a couple more years after that. I think her name was Hetty. Was it Hetty? Yeah, Hetty Braun. Here we go. So listen to this. So Nancy, this is from WISN. Nancy Guthrie's disappearance echoes the 2003 Walworth County abduction. Just like Nancy Guthrie, an abductor kidnapped 88-year-old Hetty Braun from her home in the middle of the night in 2003. So this was in Wisconsin, Walworth, Wisconsin. The search for Savannah Guthrie's mother is now nearing a week. Police said someone took 84-year-old Guthrie from her Arizona home Saturday, and that's looking like what's happened now. It's insane. They talk about Savannah. So the disappearance of Nancy eerily echoes a case from 23 years ago to the day out of Walworth County. It was the abduction of 88-year-old Hetty Braun, to the day, in a different state. Time was kind of at the essence because it was below zero when this happened. And if he was holding her somewhere, we were concerned about her safety. Sorry. Former Walworth County Sheriff David Graves said. Graves investigated Braun's disappearance in 2003. Just like Nancy Guthrie, he said someone abducted Braun from her East Troy home in the middle of the night. Her phone lines were cut. It sparked a 5-day search by foot and air. Then, Graves said, the abductor sent a ransom note demanding $3 million from the family's gravel business. So they had a gravel business. That note ultimately led investigators to the abductor, Renier Rabestein. I can't even pronounce that. A family friend. So Renier, I can't pronounce his last name, sorry. A family friend. Mike, the detective, took him in the car, sat him in the back of the car. So, first of all, is she alive? And he said, yes, she is. WISN 12 News sat down with Braun in the weeks after she was found, shackled to a mattress in a cold storage unit. She said, I didn't think I was going to die, Hetty said. I just prayed and it was answered. That's all. I was never alone. And I hope that Nancy, if she's still here, is doing just that. Reminiscing on that moment, Graves still gets emotional. It's the best feeling I've ever had, was to tell them we got her back. Faith helped fueled investigators in 2003, and it's part of the message Graves has for those searching for Guthrie on Friday. Don't give up hope and stay strong. Rainier, a native of Amsterdam, was 45 years old at the time and remains in prison at Stanley Correctional Institution. Graves said Braun died within a couple of years of her abduction. So she lived it sounds like she lived 90-ish, but probably shortened her life. I'm sure. But it happened. And $3 million 23 years ago is like $6 million today. Maybe more. So, but there was no crypto. I mean, it was probably around in the background, but not like, now. I don't know. It's insane. It's just so insane. But anyway, I'm going to go back out and just scour YouTube and see if anybody's got any more information. Just kind of look around. But basically, you probably are all updated. I just wanted to just talk about it. Just talk about the insanity of this world that's, happening. It's just craziness. It makes you just want to leave the house. And just look at everybody with side eye, every single person. It's crazy. So, anyway, I'm going to get off for now and then I'll probably check back in because I'm going to start getting used to doing this and get more comfortable with it. And maybe someone will pop in my chat. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe someone will pop in and say hello. But anyway, thanks for listening. Do all the things. And I know a few people watched it. So thanks. I'll be back.